Hey everyone, Devin here. I am here tonight to chat about meditation for beginners. And I love this subject because, well, for so many reasons. Um, I wasn't super on the ball today and I didn't let you know a little bit sooner, like when the poll and that I was going live like in a half an hour. I told you 5 minutes ago, and that's because my little guy Felix did not sleep super well last night. I was up till almost 3 with him, which is pretty rare. He's like, as long as somebody's cuddling him, he's a pretty good sleeper. He wasn't crying. He wanted to party. He kept like kicking his legs around and laughing like really hard. And, it's cute at first, but when you're super tired, it's like, boy, please go to sleep. So I feel a little bit not super sharp today. But wanted to do my hair cute anyways, because even though I'm tired, I wanted to look a little bit cute, and I'm not in my makeup era because I love the self-expression of makeup and the artistry can do with it, which I'm not super great at. I very much dislike taking it off, especially when I'm in my mom era and I have to have nights like I had with Felix. Like, when would I take it off? And I don't want to wake up with like makeup all over my face. Okay, so not in my makeup era. I'm in my cute hair, I guess, for what I can do. I'm not those influencers who can do super cute hair. So this is my cute hair for today. Yeah, so let me tell you a little bit about myself. If you're not super familiar with me, I'm a yoga teacher. I have been teaching for over 15 years. I started Stretch Love Yoga like probably like 14 years ago. And I am doing my mommy yoga era because that's the chapter I'm in right now. So that's like under the umbrella of Stretch Love Yoga. And my aim is to help moms, either prenatal or postpartum, through their journey in a safe and caring way, and getting that stuff out to you guys the easiest way possible. Because I know it's hard to get to like a gym or a studio, and sometimes even if you get yourself out there, it feels like pulling teeth. So if you can make yourself available in your own comfortable space whenever you can fit it in, that's what I'm here for. Yeah, and so I'm a wife and I have 2 little ones. Izzy, who's 4, and Felix, who's 1. And Izzy is starting school in like, I guess 2 weeks, like exactly. And that is, she's so excited for it, but I'm having mixed feelings because I was always super into school and I was super excited for it. And so far it seems like that's what she's feeling, but I'm feeling like, oh my God, this is like the next, 15 years of her life. It feels like almost like a prison sentence. Like, she's just a 4-year-old little one and she has to go to school for like, I don't even know the hours. Okay, I'm so unprepared, but like, what is it, like 8:30 to like 3 or something? Oh my God, it's crazy. I don't know the hours. I don't know her teacher. I don't know, like, I know you can't bring peanut butter, but what else can't I bring? Like, I don't know. I don't know any of this stuff. She's picky anyways. All she wants to eat is blueberries, so I guess I don't have to be concerned because I don't think there's a blueberry common allergy out there. But who knows? Hopefully I'll find all this stuff out soon. She has her backpack. She has a whole bunch of different shoes. She has her lunch bag and lunch boxes and thermoses and bottles, water bottles, and name tags and all that. So hopefully we're prepared. I'll keep you updated on that. Okay, let's get into meditation for beginners. Let me tell you my journey with meditation. So before I ever did yoga, I was like early 20s when I started yoga. So I thought meditation was lame and boring and a waste of time. Okay. You always hear about all of the benefits and everything like that, but your prefrontal cortex doesn't really develop until a little bit later on. So probably at that point in my life, I was like, I'm too cool for that. So it made me feel really uncomfortable, and I avoided it. I was like, no, thank you. I'm doing yoga for movement. I'm not doing yoga for meditation. Even Shavasana would make me feel extremely uncomfortable. I would lie there like, how long is this going to take? I have things to do. I have things I could be doing. This is such a waste of time. Like, this is so weird. Like, how much time has already passed? Like, it's got to have been 10 minutes by now, and it was probably like 1. These are all the thoughts that were running through my mind, and the literal only thing that kept me in Shavasana was the fear of people judging me for leaving the class before the teacher said it was time to leave. So thankfully I had that worry of judgment, because over time I settled my ass down and I began to enjoy Shavasana. I was able to breathe and reap the benefits of that in my practice, but still I was not going to waste my time doing any meditation. Waste my time. As soon as I'd leave the studio, I was, gonna hang out with friends or going to work or hanging out with whoever, trying not to have FOMO. Because I always wanted to be busy doing something, which is like, hint, I really needed the meditation, but I didn't. Once again, I was a young lady, and I didn't realize that. And then I took my first teacher training, and so many of the people in that teacher training were all about meditation, and they felt very like, those like people that are like and kind of like airy and all that, and I was like, oh, bro, I am here to learn how to be a teacher. So I was kind of faking it with them, but I was also like, I think they were one extreme and I was the other extreme, and you had to be somewhere in the middle. So I feel like that first teacher training was so life-changing for me, and it really helped me to understand how important things like meditation can be. And the problem I found with it was that the teacher who was teaching the meditation was lovely. I super loved him, but he was like very deep into his meditation journey, and he taught it from a place of that. So I was once again faking it, because I was like, oh, I have to be like him. He's like one of my teachers, my idols for yoga. But deep inside me, I was like, I don't know if I'm doing this right. So that was like my first kind of introduction to yoga, that I was, not yoga, meditation, that I was like receptive, but I wasn't doing it well, in my opinion. And then later on, when I took my 300-hour teacher training, it was a bigger part of the training, and I was a lot more receptive to it, and I did it in my own way, and I did it like every night. It was a big part of my daily practice, and I really loved that time of my life. I loved that. I loved being able to do that kind of meditation every day. And then into that training, my biological father passed away, and I couldn't do the meditation anymore. I found it like made me upset every time I went to do it, and so I basically stopped altogether. I stopped meditating completely. Like, I still enjoyed shavasana and stuff when I was doing a yoga class, but even at first doing yoga, like I didn't take any time off from doing yoga because I found that it was helpful, but it was also because it was like individual and personal. Every time I did it at first, it was like emotional for me, and but it helped, obviously, because I kept doing it. Otherwise I would have stopped. I found that meditation at that point did not help me because it was too much like quiet time reflecting, and eventually I got back to it a little bit, but not the way that I did prior to my dad passing away. And so and I say biological because my parents had divorced, and I have step parents as well, thankfully. But yeah, that was like the first really big loss in my life. So that was like something I had a really hard time meditating through. And I eventually got back to it, and I did not have a regular meditation practice like I did prior. I still don't. But I really value that time I had with that, and I had to like readjust and relearn my journey with meditation because it completely shifted, and that was something I found very valuable because it's not something anybody ever taught me before, and I didn't realize that that was something that could happen to people. So that's something I definitely want you to know if you are interested in a meditation journey, that it can definitely change. It's not one of these things where you start off as a beginner and then you grow and grow and grow and become an expert, and you just stay an expert forever. It's like waves, and the way you practice it will change, and that is totally fine. And the one thing that I really learned through all of that process, and it's funny to think back on because, like I mentioned earlier, with my first teacher of meditation, I was like, I'm not doing this right. What I've found, and it can be a hot take for sure, is that there is no wrong or right, and there are going to be people out there that are going to tell you there is a wrong or right. But I find that those people need to meditate more until they realize that there is not a wrong or right. So I continued meditating. It wasn't a daily practice. It wasn't as long of a practice as it was before. And then when my first pregnancy ended up in loss, I completely stopped. I was way too wrecked to do meditation. I couldn't even be like, it was during COVID, so my husband and I were like alone in our house, but I couldn't be alone, like if he was in one room, I couldn't really spend a lot of time in another room alone, because that's how like it would everything would hit me every time I was alone. So I was like attached to his hip. Luckily he did not mind that. And it was a, even though it was a really sad time, it was a good bonding time for the both of us and growing time together. So during that time, I completely stopped. So what I learned about myself is when I'm going like through grief, like deep grief, meditation is not it for me. And that is totally fine. And that is something you might experience as well if you embark on a meditation journey. Or you might find the opposite. You might find that you are grieving for some reason right now, like whatever is going on in your life. Grief can be a scale. Like, you could grieve something small, like, losing like your favorite purse or something, all the way to something big, like losing like a family member or whatever. And you might find that meditation is helpful for your grief journey. And everyone is different for that. That's another thing. Like, don't let anybody tell you, oh, absolutely do this thing. Another thing I found, just small tangent, is that, people would be like, oh, go speak to someone. And that was not helpful for me. Like, if I could have texted a therapist, that might have been helpful, but speaking about it was not helpful. But, I did not bottle it up, and I was able to grow around the grief. It never goes away, but you can grow around it. So that's the brief tangent. So getting back to the meditation, I found what is helpful is that, first of all, learning. So this is super important for beginners, especially if you are just thinking about getting into a meditation practice. First of all, not listening to the people who tell you you have to meditate this way and that's the only way to meditate. Throw that out the window. That's garbage. So some people find meditation through quiet movement, and some people find it through stillness. So that's one thing you should check in with yourself and see if either of those is it for you. So, for example, if you were into movement meditation, some people like to go for walks. I've heard so many people tell me that going for a walk alone, without any music or anything, is their form of meditation. And I've heard at least 10 different people say that to me. So if so many people are saying that, then it must be a form, right? And if you are into more stillness, or if that's how you want to practice meditation, then you have to find out for yourself exactly what kind of meditation you want to do. So in order to know, first of all, if you want to do movement or stillness, and then if you want to do either or, what's going on in your mind. So meditation is a way to find more neutrality and more stillness in your mind. So most of us, give me one of these, or give me one of these emojis if you can relate. Most people have a million things running through their mind. It's like, if you're watching this and you're a mom, you're thinking like I said in the beginning of this video, my daughter, I don't know what to send her for lunches and snacks at school. I don't know when school starts. I don't know this. I don't know that. What are we making for dinner? What are the activities we're gonna do today to keep the kids entertained? Or maybe you really think ahead and you're like, it's coming to the end of August. That means winter's coming. My baby isn't in a bucket seat anymore. So what are they going to wear in the car to stay warm in their convertible car seat? These things, they're running through your head all the time. That's just a very small sample of what could be running through your mind. And what you want to try to find is quiet in your mind. And, that might sound impossible, but it's not. So if you don't know if movement or stillness is it for you, then experiment, finding which one is better for you. And then, and that doesn't mean like, oh, I like stillness, so that means I'm never going to go for a walk, or I like movement meditation, so I'm never going to sit still. It can ebb and flow, but you might lean towards one as your main thing. I I always thought I would be into movement because I exercise, I do yoga, and I have a lot of energy, but for me, meditation is stillness for me. So once you figure that out, then you're going to think like, well, what is going through my mind? What am I going to do to make my mind stop talking about all these lists and all these things? And there's a big misconception that you just have to meditate, you have to sit and you have to actively not think of anything. And that is what really turns people off, I think, and I find. So for me, I find there are 3 different ways you can approach it as a beginner. So the first way, and then there's deeper things you can go into when you're not a beginner, but these are, like, in my opinion, the easiest way to get into it. The first one you can do is you can do counted breaths. So one I really, really love doing, and this is what I do every night, is some people do box breathing, if you've heard of that. What I do is kind of like a form of that, but it's a little bit elongated at the end. So I inhale for a count of 4, I retain the breath for a count of 4, and then I exhale for a count of 7. I find that when I start that, my breath is always pretty quick and shallow. And then sometimes if I'm like, if I've had like a day, like one of those days where I'm like pissed off or like stressed out or something, doing that breath can feel a little panicky. And then I just continue doing it until it doesn't feel panicky anymore. And sometimes when I'm doing it, I'm thinking of a million different things. So I'm just counting my breath, 4, 4, 7. And then eventually I notice that the thoughts and stuff slow down or stop. And at that point, then I return to a natural breath, and then I can realize that my natural breath is now a lot slower and deeper than when it was shallow and fast when I started. So that's one way you can do it. And it's a very good way because you are counting the breath. So counting helps you to distract from all of those things that are running through your mind. And along that note, the second easiest way is to just count each breath you're taking. So instead of doing the 4, 4, 7 like I like to do, then you just like each inhale is 1, each inhale and exhale is 1, 2. You're just counting, you're literally just counting how many breaths you're taking. And that is along the same lines. You're thinking of that number that you're on instead of all of the millions of things that are running through your mind. And then the third way, and I have used all of these, by the way, and they are all very helpful. The third way, instead of counting, is to think of a phrase that you like. Maybe something that brings you comfort, or something like you're trying to manifest, or something that is, positive for you. One that I said a lot during pregnancy is that I, especially with Izzy, but I did it with Felix as well because I was very anxious for my pregnancy with Izzy because it was so soon after my loss. I would say, I am safe, we are safe. And I would just Like, on the inhale, I'd say, I am safe. And on the exhale, I'd say, we are safe. And I just kept repeating that. And it was one of those like fake it till you make it, because I was anxious and worried, and because I didn't know what happened with the first pregnancy. So I didn't know if she was safe. I didn't know if I was safe, but I kept saying, we are safe, baby safe, that sort of thing. So that is something, just like saying, that's an example, but just saying a phrase like that over and over is a way to distract your mind. And to add to that, those are the 3 that I would definitely recommend trying if you're a beginner. But to add to that, what you're doing during that time is not, looking at the thoughts going through your head and judging them. You're just letting them float by like clouds in the sky, or like a leaf flying by. You're not trying to hang on to those things, because then you will get distracted from the meditation option you chose, and you're going to hold on to that thought, and then that's going to defeat the purpose, right? So as you're just watching those thoughts fly by, noticing if they eventually slow down, and then you eventually stop thinking about those things. And some days, I will tell you, are easier than others. If you've had a really tough day, or something's really bothering you, it's going to take you longer than an easy breezy day. And that's just the way that is. So let me recap that for you. If you are considering starting a meditation practice, first of all, know that even if you hate the idea, it is definitely helpful, and I would highly recommend it. There's so many benefits. You can look them up, and it's true. They're not like woo-woo sort of benefits. Like, these are benefits that scientists have found. So there is legitimate benefits to meditation. So if you're considering embarking on a meditation practice, you're going to first want to explore whether you want to do movement or stillness. Then you're going to experiment with what form is going to help you in this early stage of your meditation journey, to have more quietness in your mind. And those options that I would suggest are counted breaths. So for example, box breathing, or like mine that I suggested for like inhale for 4, retain for 4, exhale for 7. Or you can count each breath. So just literally counting 1, 2, 3 for each breath. Or you can repeat a phrase that you like, that makes you feel good, over and over. And as you are doing that, you are not hanging on to the thoughts. You are just letting them float by. And, that can take practice, but you don't have to be an expert the very first time you meditate. And another little tip I just thought of and want to throw out there, because like I said, I have a tired mind today, so I didn't think of it earlier, but luckily I thought of it now. If you are like, oh, that's great, but like, when can I find time to do this? Do it right before you go to sleep. That's what I do. And that's another hot take. A lot of like woo-woo meditation people will be like, oh, that's not it. I would highly recommend doing that if you are starting, because when you're falling asleep, oftentimes you are having a hard time falling asleep because you are having all these thoughts running through your mind, but you are wanting to fall asleep. So you're not going to go off and do something. You're not thinking that you are wasting your time because you have so many other things to do. This is the time when you're going to go to sleep. So you can practice it then if you are working on stillness meditation. So, you close your eyes and then you start the breathing. You start that 4-4-7 breathing, or you start counting each breath, or you start saying the phrase that you like over and over in your head. And the secret added benefit of that, on top of all the benefits of meditation, is that helps you to fall asleep. And when you're falling asleep without all of these things on your mind, it helps you to have better quality of sleep. So why wouldn't you try it? Because you're your own captive audience at that point. So I'll just quickly recap. You're going to find whether you want to do movement or stillness. You're going to figure out which type that we mentioned that you want to do, and you are going to maybe do it right before bed so that you are your own captive audience and that you fall asleep without a million things on your head and then start dreaming about those million things and getting all stressed out and waking up stressed out. Okay, so I hope that was really helpful. If you want more information or guidance on that, I could definitely help you out. I have meditations that I can share. If you are wanting to ask any questions about any of that, please feel free to comment. If you are too shy to comment, DM me. I want to help you if you want to get on this journey. And if you stayed this far into the video or the live, I want to let you know that next week I am doing another 3-day free challenge, free workshop, and I'm collaborating with another lovely group member, Christina. We're going to talk about going back to work. So that can be really tough emotionally, and wrapping your head around that and trying to, find movement on top of working and mothering and all that. So keep your eyes peeled for that. It's going to be great. And I will see you on the next one. Look out for the tutorial poll tomorrow and the poll for this live on Mondays. All right, take care. Have a great night. Bye for now.